There's nothing better than being a Raider fan and walking out of a stadium with a victory.
He is one of those guys that I would hate to have played against because he's not going to give up.
As he grabbed Gardner Minshew and said, "We got your back." That was leadership.
That black hole, we're counting on you. We're going to kick off right to you. Wherever we go, we're going right to you guys.
Welcome to Raiders Rundown. I'm JT, live from Raiders headquarters and streaming on the Raiders YouTube channel and the flagship of the Raider Nation Radio. Man, do we got a big show today. Head coach Antonio Pierce will join us coming up here in a bit. The great Lincoln Kennedy. We have Paul Gutierrez from ESPN and Vinny Bonsignore, also from Vegas Nation and our flagship radio station. A lot happening around here. There's news every day inside this building. Some of it's not good. Some of it's really bad when it comes to the injury to Christian Wilkins. We wish him well as he'll be out indefinitely. We hope that he heals well. He's a great leader. I'll talk about him with Coach coming up here in a little bit. I mean, it's all been about the last month, next man up. The team has been injured a lot. The injury report has been long. Some players are trying to come back. Others can't. Devontae Adams and the potential news of him moving forward. We'll find it out. We'll keep it fluid here if there's breaking news. And that's why we say keep it to Raiders.com, the YouTube channel, and all of our social media for breaking news whenever it happens. Coach was just downstairs, Antonio Pierce, and made a decision on the quarterback.
Were you named a starting quarterback for?
Yes, sir. Aiden O'Connell.
What went behind that decision?
It was a quarterback battle early on. Aiden started 5 games, and at this point, I think it's best to go with Aiden going forward.
AP, before you even got here, this franchise did a lot of roller coaster, and you've talked about building a culture. So I'm curious, when they're come out roaring out of the gates on all 3 phases of the game, the pick 6, they just seem to go down. How do you build a mentally tough culture?
Yeah, I hate to use it, but it's a teaching lesson, and it's something that we try to do on the sideline as that was happening. You could feel it. It was real. Like, I'm not going to hide from it, right? You could feel the air a little bit from our team and just say, hey, guys, it's one play. And we really look at that game, probably 2 series later, we had the ball at the 50-yard line, and we had a great opportunity to make a play. We didn't do it. We punted, kept them backed up. And there's so many plays in the game where you can change the momentum again and get it back on our side. And we didn't do that. And we had to find a way. And it's not one person. It's not one unit. It's a team doing that collectively. Like I said, the ball's at the 50, no problem. We got them backed up, keep them backed up. And we get the ball again, we got to make the best of those opportunities. And that's what it is going forward.
In terms of the quarterback decision, do you envision this being kind of a constant battle throughout the year, or do you plan on making the switch for the good?
No, I don't plan on making switches at any time. Just when it's time to make a switch, we make a switch.
All right, let's talk about a couple of things there. Let's get into the quarterback first. I think that's a good decision. We get it early in the week, and I think everybody wants that decision going forward. Gardner Minshew is a leader. He's still here. There's an opportunity. Quarterbacks play every game, the way quarterbacks are going down in this league, but Aiden O'Connell deserves the opportunity now. Gardner Minshew had 5 weeks. The team's offense hasn't got going. It's been up and down. There's been a couple of highlight plays, a couple of big plays, but they haven't been consistent enough. So for Gardner Minshew, I think Gardner understands that he was fighting for his job in the first snap of the year. That 4th quarter in Baltimore was very impressive. But what happened in Denver, and we'll get to that pick 6 coming up here, was probably the reason why Aiden O'Connell will go. Now, for Aiden, he's very smart, and he has experience. Got to remember he played a lot last year. He was a quarterback of record when the Raiders beat Kansas City. Okay, he didn't have an epic game, but he beat Kansas City. No team has done that since. Regular season, Super Bowl, obviously, and into this year. When it comes to Aiden, he's got to be great in this game coming up against Pittsburgh. Ball's got to come out. T.J. Watt is going to be looming. We know that, and they have a very good defense. So Aiden's going to have plenty of time this week with the number 1s to be with the starters and get his game going because the Raiders are going to need him at his best. The key going forward for the Raiders season, where they can go to 3-3 and turn everything around by Sunday night. 3-3 would look amazing around here. And I told you the same thing when we were here on Raiders Rundown coming off the Carolina loss. 2-2 would look really good, and it did. But the Raiders have found ways to squander games. And if you look at the Carolina game and being up potentially 17-3 at Denver, you're going to be talking about a team here that could have one loss and really be grooving. But that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. I don't do radio. I dip it in reality before I come on the air. And now the Raiders are fighting for their lives. 3-3 will put them right in the middle of all of this. So even if you don't believe, if you're someone who says, hey, this season is not what I expected, those opinions will not matter if the Raiders beat Pittsburgh and go to 3-3. They'll be right smack in the middle of the postseason, and everybody in this league who's underneath them would love to be 3-3. But if you don't get the win and go to 2-4, then the uphill battle continues. So the coach will join us here in a little bit, and I can promise you, being around this building as much as I am, the focus of this franchise in this rivalry. And let me just say this quickly. I think this is the perfect time for a Steeler game, because it wakes up everybody in the building to put on their hard hat and bring their bare knuckles and get ready for a fight. Because this is only for the tough guys, this game, as Coach will tell you. This game is only for the tough, physical, violent football players in this organization to step up. Those who don't want to step up, they'll be on film. So this is a game that I can't wait for, and I'm excited about it. And when the schedule came out, I knew the terrible towels were coming. We know Pittsburgh loves Vegas like everybody else, but Raider Nation will be ready to go. So Lincoln Kennedy is going to join us in a little bit. We want to go back and take a quick look at the Denver game where the Raiders came out. And before we play this soundbite and highlight, if you're watching, the coaches did a great job having the Raiders ready to play. I've been battling back and forth with fans on that topic all week long. Say what you want in the second half, for sure. But the Raiders were ready to play. From the team meeting the night before, that was electric. For them coming out of the tunnel, for them starting fast. Here's Brock Bowers making a breakout play.
He motions to the right. Minshew with play action, and Madison trying to settle on the pocket. Off his back foot, deep down the middle of the field. Bowers jump ball at the 35, and he takes off down the sideline. 15, 10, touchdown Raiders! Brock Bowers, first career NFL touchdown, is a 57-yard jump ball that he caught and took off for a score.
Unbelievable play by Brock. What an athletic play. And that's why he's a first-round pick. He made a beautiful move after catching that ball, and then no one could track him down. No one wants to tackle him in the secondary, and there's got to be more Brock Bowers going forward. So let's stop for a second and analyze where the team was at that point. The team took control of the game. The Broncos brought back their legends. They had the throwback uniforms on. So nobody can debate that the team wasn't ready to play. That's absolute nonsense if you said that. The coaches had the team ready, and the team came out explosive. Then they had a chance to go up 17-3, and unfortunately, this pick six happened.
Bryant in motion to the right. Play action. Minshew keeps it. Rolls to the left. Lobs near side for Bowers. Picked off at the goal line. He overthrew him, and the Broncos have it at the 20. Racing down the sideline. It's Surtain at the 50. They're not going to catch him. Surtain at the 20. 10. It's a 100-yard pick six for Denver.
Flag back on the 34-yard line.
Oh, no. That, if hopefully holding. If not, that is a pick six for Patrick Surtain.
So Surtain had one of the greatest plays I've seen in that rivalry, and there's been many. There's a regular season. We're not talking postseason. Regular season, I don't recall recently a play that had that big of an impact in flipping the emotion of a stadium and the outcome of a game. Look, we wish, Gardner, if he didn't throw it. But Brock Bowers was right wide open in front of him. If Brock catches that, Surtain's right there at the goal line. Maybe he tackles him, but he tackles him at the goal line. And I think Brock, I'd bet that Brock would have broke that tackle or pushed the pile in. So the game after that got out of hand, and then Bo Nix got going, a quarterback that's been struggling a lot this year. Here's a Bo Nix touchdown.
Extra fullback. So the fullback, Michael Burton in the game. Nix back to throw. Swings it out to the right to his man, McLaughlin at the 10. He jumps from the 5. Did he get across the pylon? He did. Touchdown Denver. The swing pass out to the right. McLaughlin got ahead of steam, and they say he broke the pylon for a Broncos touchdown.
Now, that was only a 10-point game, midway through the third quarter. The game got ugly after that, but right there, the opportunity to go up 17-3. I'll say this again, that if the Raiders went up 17-3, I don't think Bo Nix comes back and wins that game, because Patrick Graham is dialing up not a prevent defense, but one where they have to abandon the run most likely, and I think the Raiders win. But it's hard for me to defend that because of the way the Silver and Black played after that. After that, basically it was all Denver. Denver makes another play here, which leads to the benching of Gardner Minshew.
3rd and 11 for the Silver and Black. Shotgun to Minshew. Looking right. He pumps. He lobs near sideline. Looking for Tucker. And it's picked off on the near sideline. Riley Moss in perfect coverage on the Broncos 37. And he's got Denver's second pick of the day. And they will take over. 20-10. And Link, you said after the last drive you would make the switch. And they have.
That's
Aiden
right.
O'Connell is on the field for the Silver and Black with 1:31 to go in the third.
We'll see what Aiden is able to do. You know, look, AP said he wanted a quarterback that didn't make mistakes. The 2 interceptions really hurt Gardner Minshew and the Raiders today.
Minshew started 9 of 9, 115 yards. After that, 3 of 8, 22 yards and 2 picks. O'Connell came in mop-up duty in the loss to Carolina. He had 1 drive, led the Raiders on a touchdown march. He is going to have to put together a comeback here in Denver.
Well, great segue because everybody listens to Lincoln Kennedy. He joins us every week at this time. And Lincoln, was pretty obvious at that point that they were going to make the move. They had to make the move as we welcome you in. Hello, my friend, and take us through that moment.
Hey, bud, how's it going? Look, I thought it was a necessary move for AP and to make the quarterback decision at the time. You know, Gardner Minshew was struggling. The team was flat. You needed to have a spark, and what better time? So I'm not surprised that he made the move when he did in the Denver game. I expected it. And more importantly, I'm not surprised he announced AOC as a starting quarterback today.
Well, Lincoln, you played in a lot of big games throughout your career, and there are momentum shifts, but I don't remember one recently for the Las Vegas Raiders where one play changed everything. Raiders were about to go in up 17-3. A pick six by Surtain kind of ends the game there. When you were calling the game in real time with Jason Horowitz, did you feel that momentum shift that drastically?
After the Patrick Surtain first interception, the pick six, yes, absolutely. Because, look, here's the thing. The Raiders, throughout this season, JT, we've talked about the Raiders' offensive struggles, okay? They have been reluctant. They've been, basing everything on their ability to play defense, and I get that. But, the Brock Bowers touchdown was a 50-50 ball. Let's cut it like it is. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like he had great separation. It was a 50-50 ball. He made a great play. No doubt about it. You give him the credit. Other than that, the offense had trouble moving. Now, I know people are taking into consideration the drive that happened before the pick six, but there were still some opportunities that kept the drive alive for the Raiders. A penalty that gave them an automatic first down, moved them in closer. The Raiders notoriously for the last couple of years have had some struggles in the red zone, so they're still trying to find themselves offensively. But 2 things came to mind when that play happened. First, Gardner Minshew had no business throwing that football. He tried to square up his shoulders and try to get it over a jumping linebacker in front of his face. It's really too difficult to do when you're rolling out to your left. A little bit more opportunity as a right-hand quarterback rolling out to your right, but to your left, it's hard to do. So he had no business throwing that football. Secondly, that when you saw the deflation in the team after that pick six, because up until that point, they were riding high. They could have gone up 17 points, 17-3, and had their way with the Broncos at that point, but they didn't have that chance. And since they tried to turn it around, when the Broncos had that pick six, JT, it was all in the basket for them because the team was flat from that point forward.
Great. Lincoln Kennedy joins us. Let's stay with the positivity of Brock Bowers. So he makes that play, super athletic. They were going for him or could have went for him on that play that was picked off there. And he's a bright spot on this team now. I think Luke Getsy understands before we get to the Steelers that if you're going to go down, you better go down with Brock Bowers because Devontae's not here, and Bowers is your best probably weapon, youth, legs, energy, health, and all of that. So what could we look forward to with Brock Bowers now because he seems to be finding a rhythm again?
Well, if you're Luke Getsy, you try to take a page out of what the Kansas City Chiefs have been able to do with Travis Kelce as far as freeing him up and getting him some of his touches. Look, he's a weapon. There's no doubt about it. And because we're minus one weapon, Devontae Adams, of course, Jacoby Myers have stood up. We've had, Trey Tucker. We've had DJ Turner. All these guys have done a good job at stamping into the place, but it's not enough for the offense. Brock Bowers, such a unique tight end, creates a mismatch for any defense that's playing him. You can't play him with the safety. You can't play him with the linebacker. If you double cover him, somebody else is going to be wide open. So that's the conundrums the defenses are under, JT. For the most part, you got to find creative ways to get Brock Bowers the ball. But more importantly, when you're running your 2 and 3 tight end sets, your 12 and 13 personnel, you limit the ability to be able to stretch the field. And that's where you got to pay particularly close attention to what you do and how you design those plays.
Lincoln, what I love about Brock Bowers is everybody's learning. You learned as a rookie. So with Michael Mayer not available for now and Devontae and the scenario surrounding him, he's in that locker room and he's looking around and there's 2 of his teammates not available to play and he's stepping up. I think long term, okay, not this season, down the road, that's going to help him. He'll be able to look back on his leadership ability to come out of the tunnel knowing that, hey, I'm the man. It's not Devontae. It's not this guy. If someone else is down, of course, Jacoby Myers, Trey, what they're going to do with the running game. But he was a leader at Georgia, and he's showing that capability to do it here early in his career.
This is such a young and pretty much newly put together team, aside from the experience. So, yeah, that sort of development into leadership, I've always said that leaders aren't born, they're made. It's something that you come into your own. When people look to you or respect you for what you've done, even if you're a rookie, it's hard to overlook the ability and the potential that this young man has.
All right, Lincoln, let's move on to the missed tackling. That was very disappointing to me. You can't have that. This is a defensive head coach who was a tackling machine. Antonio Pierce. He knows how to coach that. So you had the business decision issue, and Jack had to sit out a quarter. And we're back to talking about tackling. I think it was 2 years ago and 3 years ago, the middle of the field was open. It got cleaned up by Patrick Graham. He cleaned it up. He ran those plays back, and he fixed it. And now we're at a point with the Steelers coming in. Well, you better tackle Najee Harris. You better tackle some of these running backs. They're going to try to establish their toughness early on. What did you see with the tackling and how the Raiders can fix that heading into Sunday?
Well, it's tackling is just like blocking. It's about desire to me, JT. You got to go out there and want to do it. But the truth of the matter is that this defense has been exposed over the past 5 games, and they've been worn down. And that's why you start to see a lot of arm tackles, not guys really throwing their body into them because they're trying to reach out and grab a guy and pull him down. That's what happens when a defense is fatigued, and that's on the offensive. That's on the offense. I blame that on the offense. The main reason is because the offense has, 1, got to sustain drives. 2, have got to put points on the board and force the opposing team to become one-dimensional, whether it's passing or not. You cannot have a carte blanche where you can run or pass effectively. And the Raiders have had trouble stopping the run pretty much all season. And to your point, when it comes down to missed tackles, I blame it on fatigue, overwork, and more importantly, offense not doing its job.
Well, we're devastated around here because Christian Wilkins is out, and he's out indefinitely. I can't believe it because the Divine Diablo, Marcus Epps, the defensive side. Malcolm Kuntz. Thanks for sharing that. Malcolm Kuntz. If you would have told us, Lincoln, when you and I were hanging out in Costa Mesa that we wouldn't have Malcolm Kuntz and Christian Wilkins this year, those are 2 really important players on this team. But we've seen Adam Butler play well. And Tyree Wilson, I know you talk about that on radio and TV all the time. So what's encouraging you now with the depth of the defensive line because it's being put to the test?
Depth is lacking. It really is. Depth is lacking. Look, I think Adam Butler has played well so far this season. I think John Jenkins can definitely come in and do the job. But here's the one thing the Raiders were able to hang their hat on before the season started. They had depth at that defensive line. They could rotate those guys out with Malcolm Kuntz and all those guys. You could rotate those guys. Now you don't have that luxury anymore. So depth, it comes into criticism. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the remaining starters to go out there and be able to play 4 quarters and be effective. And that's when it comes, like I said, it comes back to the blames. Who do you fault? The offense has got to do their part to help keep those guys fresh. But as far as, other guys stepping up, look, it's positive in the sense where the defense still has a good scheme, but it's going to be tried. If you don't clean up the middle of the field, you're going to be toasted like we were against Carolina. Had no answer for it. We'll see how you respond. If you don't stop the run, the Pittsburgh Steelers are notoriously known for running the football and playing defense. Yes, they've got a stingy defense, and yes, they know how to run the football. It's going to be a big test for the defense to stop the run early and force them to become one-dimensional. All
right, Lincoln Kennedy joins us on the flagship Raider Nation Radio and the Raiders YouTube channel here, the first hour of the show. Let's get to the Steelers defensive line. It's T.J. Watt, but they have some other good players and some really good veterans up front.
Right.
What was it like for you in your prime, knowing in your whole career, when there was a great edge rusher that wasn't going to line up in front of you every play, he's going to the other side too, and then he's coming back to you, and he's going to stunt. What's it like mentally preparing and breaking down film that week?
First thing I would do is go over to my other tackle, my left tackle, and say, Barry Sims, say, look, we need to shut these guys down, because if they're not having success over me, they're going to try to come over you. And so we need to have them try to find a place where they can play and be effective. And that's going to, cause a difference in their day. But for the most part, JT, what it comes out to, and I noticed, about watching the Cowboy game against the Steelers against the Cowboys this past Monday or Sunday night, whatever it was. When I watched TJ Watt by the time the second half came around, middle to the end of the third quarter, he was grimacing in pain because the big tackle from Dallas was leaning on him, which you have to do. Now, he's still effective in passing situations. You're not going to be able to take that away. The great ones, Khalil Mack, Bosa, those guys, they always come along when it's third down and long or it's time for them to turn it up. But in the interim, you really have to have a big hands and a big body to lean on these guys. They're not real big guys. So you lean on these guys as effectively as you possibly can. You're going to get help from a chip. You're going to get help from a tight end. You have to understand the dynamics that happen behind that. So you need to practice that effectively. But more importantly, you got to lean on these defensive ends. I've never shied away from them. Let's run at them. Let's trap them. Let's do whatever we can to try to take as much oomph out of them so they don't have that effective pass rush.
Yeah, they're +4 in turnover differential. The Raiders are -7. So the turnover battle is going to be unique here. And I think the Raiders aren't known for jumping routes and making big plays. We're just not seeing it. We wait for it every year, and Pittsburgh's the opposite. If you throw them a 50-50 ball, they'll go get it. So this is going to be really important, Lincoln. I like what you said about this. You went to your other tackle. You went to Barry Sims, and you talked to him about it. I think that's what needs to happen now. This offensive line has been, I think, ridiculed in the media, the Vegas media, and nationally. No one respects them, to the point where they got to look in the mirror and come out and say, you know something, here we go. We're going into this battle. Everybody knows it's their defense, and we're the O-line that's got to protect Aiden O'Connell and get the running game going. I think this is a test of wills this week. If this offensive line is going to show up and have a big game, it's got to be Sunday against the Steelers. This is their biggest test.
It would be refreshing to see. I would be honest with you. It would be refreshing to see. We finally got the same group that you want to have play together, started together in the Bronco game. I get it. But you know what? To be honest, I was not impressed with the interior three. I mean, Dylan Parham got pushed back a few times, and I'm worried about, going up against the all-pro Hayward and that effective defensive line that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. I'm worried about the interior part of that. They have got to do a better job with their zone blocking scheme at winning the line of scrimmage. They haven't done that consistently effectively. There's been times, but they haven't done it. And when they go their man scheme, they have really got to push the guys and own the line of scrimmage and control the front seven. More importantly, your quarterback has got to be aware most teams have brought eighth man down. You've got to bring in one of your receivers or somebody to dig that eighth man out. You've got to be sound when blocking the box in order to have an effective run game.
All right, so as we're talking, we're not exactly sure what the Steelers are going to do at quarterback. I would think Justin Fields would get the nod, him being healthy and have won 3 games this year. His numbers look pretty good. They're not bad when it comes to running and throwing the football, but Russell Wilson was brought in now only for $1 million. Man, how would you like to have that deal? But he's not available. He's not available to play, right? So he's not available to play, but he could play in this game. He was the emergency quarterback. What do you think Mike Tomlin's thinking? Because I think they're in a similar situation with Gardner Minshew. If Fields doesn't have a big game in Las Vegas, I think they're going to make a quarterback change, if not before. And we know that once he takes off and runs, Lincoln, as we're seeing here, he's very big and physical. It'll take multiple Raiders defenders to get him down.
Well, Fields felt the pressure in the Dallas game of using his legs. He felt compelled. He had to use his legs more, and I started to see him doing that. As far as Russell Wilson is concerned, look, I'm of the mindset I don't want another geriatric quarterback coming into Allegiant Stadium and finding a way to beat the Raiders. So I'm hoping that whoever they start, we have an effective game against him. I know Russell Wilson has his limitations, but once upon a time, Russell Wilson used to be, in my opinion, Mr. Improvisational, because he used to make those plays up and extend plays with his legs. Now they've got 2 quarterbacks that are capable of using their legs. I know Russell Wilson doesn't do it as much as Justin Fields or as he used to, but it's still the potential, that danger for there. So the defensive lanes have got to be sound and disciplined when you're rush lanes, when you're rushing a quarterback. As far as stopping the run, you've got to make the Steelers one-dimensional, because even if they don't know who's going to be quarterback or they decide to throw a change, you've got to force them to be one-dimensional and try to throw the football. Take up the space in the middle. It's a big task for the Raiders defense to slow down this offense. I'm more concerned, JT, in all honesty, about the other side of the ball, the offense finally getting it going.
Great, Lincoln Kennedy, as we wrap it up. So rivalry, we spoke to you because you played such a big role at Denver, and that was your big rival. And then you get Pittsburgh coming in. That might be the most important rival in the history of this organization. Even though they're not in the same division, it defined the 70s, where I thought the Raiders were the better team the majority of the time, but the Steelers won the games that made them a dynasty. So that was a long time ago. A lot of young fans, and you got young sons, they don't know the history the way you do here. But Coach is joining us next. He does. So what do you need to see in the booth early in this game? So this rivalry game not only means something, but it could get the Raiders season back. Link 3-3 changes everything. Because, again, Raiders are still going to have a lot of injuries, but I think the morale of the team and the fan base will take off at 3-3.
I want to see the attitude come out there. I want to see a vigor, an instance where you're mad. You're mad at everything happens. And look, losing is not fun in anybody's mind. Okay. Some people take it personal. I took it personal. I hated to lose. And if I had another chance the following week to redeem myself, I was looking forward to that. I want the Raiders to do that. I want the Raiders to finally try to put get one game under their belt, obviously with this one, but try to put two together. Try to show some momentum of building and generating in the right way before the bye comes. That's what I'm thinking. And so I want to see them come out with an attitude, a vigor, an anger, if you will, that they want to go out and they want to beat somebody up. And now the Steelers are just the team that's in their way, and they want to do it to them.
Lincoln, I love this. I'm going to run with it all week. You're one of the kindest men I know, but I've seen you get angry on playing football. It should be pretty...
when I put on the helmet, I'm a different person. You were the enemy. We're not friends. We're not going to talk pleasantries. I'm seriously trying to rip your head off, and I made that known to everybody I played against.
We'll see you Sunday, Lincoln. Thank you.
I'll see you, brother.
All right, Lincoln Kennedy. Let me stop for a second. That was amazing. That was amazing. As you know, Lincoln, and here we're looking at our lineup here. Everybody listen, we got a big week. Morning tailgate, 7 to 10. Rich Eisen, 10 to noon. I'm on every day, noon to 2. Unnecessary Roughness, Q Myers, 2 to 5, all Pacific. And you can listen on the Raiders app, which is really cool. You can just get the app, have the app, and just click on radio when it comes in. Last thing what Lincoln said, this is now a time to be really angry. There's a lot to be disappointed with around here. Christian Wilkins, number 1 in the injury. Epps being injured. A lot to be disappointed in. How about getting mad? How about getting furious on game day? We know Max can do it. I think Spillane is going to have a big game. He's having a Pro Bowl year, no debate. He could be the leader. He played in the rivalry, played for Pittsburgh. Who else? Who's going to have the game? I've been waiting all year in this studio for Nate Hobbs. I've been waiting all year for Colt Miller. These are very good players. Where's the great game? Where's the angry game? Where's the violent game? This would be a good time for it. Coming up next, the head coach, Antonio Pierce, will join us. We'll talk to him, the quarterback decision that's coming up here, and the rivalry. And he knows the rivalry well. So we'll get to him coming up on the other side. And then Paul Gutierrez is going to join us coming up here, the insider from ESPN, live on Raiders YouTube and Raider Nation Radio. I'm JT. This is Raiders Rundown. Celebrate 65 seasons of Raiders football. Be a part of our legacy with a special edition brick featuring the exclusive 65-year anniversary logo. Get your brick installed at Allegiant Stadium, along with a replica for your home or office. Order now and support the Raiders Foundation, benefiting military and veterans, wellness initiatives, and youth development. Secure your place in Raiders history today at RaidersFoundationBricks.com. Head coach Antonio Pierce, kind enough to join us. So, Coach, I want to begin with Christian Wilkins and the injury. How long it's going to be is not important now. Just him, the player, and the relationship you have with him.
Yeah, I mean, to watch him, pretty much the entire second quarter play on a foot and do it on one leg and have a sack, 2 TFLs, running around, chasing guys down the field, and, just to see his desire and want to be for his teammates, I was impressed with it. And obviously, we found out the news at halftime, and we got the bad news throughout the week. But, credit to Christian because he's been an ultimate pro. I've said that from day one when he jumped in this building. Outside of Max, he's the first guy in the building, right? They're battling every day. They're the last ones in the building. His work ethic, just being a pro, and when you got younger players on our roster, other D tackles, you can't have a better role model than a Christian Wilkins.
And you expect him to obviously be around and encourage these players as such a big-time leader.
He was in there today. Again, first guy in the building, 6 o'clock, along with Max, rehabbing and getting ready to come back.
Quarterback, where do you stand with the quarterback position?
Yeah, we're going to go with Aiden.
Okay.
Going forward. Yeah, we're going with Aiden.
Looking at the tape and what he can do with his accuracy, his time in the pocket, looking through progressions, what are you looking forward to against the Steelers there?
Well, I think, we saw a lot of it with Aiden last year. We saw it through this, quarterback battle throughout the offseason and training camp. And I think it's just time. I think Aiden gives us an opportunity to push the ball down the field like we want. We did talk about the accuracy, cerebral, quarterbacks will stay in the pocket. There's a lot of things that Aiden does that you saw growth. I think we saw that in training camp. And again, there were some ups and downs. There were some moments. And obviously, we went with Gardner, and Gardner did the best job he could. But, at this moment, I think it's best for our team to go forward with Aiden.
All right, we'll go on to the Steelers here. Najee Harris, 3.3 a carry, no rushing TDs, but he's close. It seems like they're trying to get him going. They pound it with it all the time. He could be very dangerous if you don't get him down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that firsthand last year, right? It's like you got to pound him. You don't worry about the stats going into your game. You just know this game is going to be a focus for them. And if you're playing the Raiders right now, you're probably thinking, hey, we need to run the ball on these guys, right? If we've given up some runs there. So it's going to be key that we play, gap sound defense. We got to play with extension. It can't be one tackler at the ball carrier now, right? We need a gang tackle. We need 11 Raiders on the ball carrier at all times. And there's going to be opportunities for us to try to punch the ball out and knock it off, and we got to do that. But more importantly, we got to get the runner down.
How are you preparing for their quarterback because of the decision they have coming up? Justin Fields, we've seen him before. He could be really dangerous, too, if you don't sack him in the pocket and he takes off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're talking about a dual-threat quarterback. I think he's made some really big throws this year, right? I mean, and when you watch him play, you got to worry about him extending plays. That's the one thing we got to, no different than some of these quarterbacks we faced early in the season. You got to kind of cage rush him. You don't allow him to escape inside the pocket in those B gaps because then that puts pressure on the secondary, right? The guys in zone coverage. So the key thing for us is to be, have a coordinated rush with our 4, whatever many guys are rushing with. And then on the back end, having vision and breaking. More importantly, we got to get this big man down too as well because he's a big quarterback.
Similar to Lamar and the game plan of trying, because you had success against Lamar Jackson on the road.
Yeah. I would say close to it, but I think at times you see him want to stand in the pocket. But they have some design runs for him. You could tell there's down and distance where they say, look, Justin, you take the ball and you put on your cape. So we got to be sound, and I'm really pleased with what we've done defensively as far as game plan up to this point.
A lot of fans are excited about the T.J. Watt, Max Crosby. They don't compete against each other, but they compete for the Defensive Player of the Year award. Right. And Max plays more downs, but T.J. is really explosive. He could have a 3 or 4 sack game. Looking at the tape against the Cowboys and T.J. Watt, what'd you see?
We need a lot of hands on him. Whereas just find 90. That's our Waldo. Wherever 90 is, man, get a couple hands on him, get a couple bodies. But, I mean, a tremendous player. Ultimate respect for his game and how he plays the game. Plays it hard. Right. It doesn't matter about how many snaps. But when he's in, it's balls to the wall. He's full throttle. And when you put 2 players like that on the field, I think as a fan, you have to really respect the level of play that you want to get from the 2 gentlemen.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it with Eric Allen and Gannon and others. It elevates your play knowing that someone at your position is coming into your house and you want to have that game. So Max, he's always motivated, but this is special.
Trust me, he's extra motivated for this one.
Yes, he could. Let's get into Mike Tomlin and what you know about him personally and his philosophy, never having a losing season. The team got off to a really good start. They lose 2 in a row, so he's trying to dial them in big for this road trip.
Yeah, I know a lot of times we judge judge coaches off of championships and all that, but what about the consistency of just winning year in, year out? And the style of play. Like, they have their identity. You know what the Steelers football looks like. And there's no hidden agenda, right? You know the 3-4 defense is coming into town, right? You got the terrible towels. So what Mike Tomlin's done, and I played against him, when I played, he was coaching at that time as well. So it's somebody that you respect because you knew you had to, button up your chin strap. You had to put your pads on a little tighter. Everything had to be screwed up a little bit more because it was going to be a bloodbath. And then you just hear things throughout the week and as you doing your notes. And, man, they practice on Friday with pads. They're setting the tone. That's different, right? It's just different ways. He's one of the other coaches too that has live scrimmages, full live tackling with his team in training camp. And those are a lot of things that I heard and I watched from afar, and that we brought here and implemented with us at the Raiders. So ultimate respect, because when you can have a career like he's had, 17 years, not losing season, finding different ways with different quarterbacks, different systems, different coordinators coming through, and just be consistent, ultimate pro.
One of the players I want to highlight is Jakorian Bennett. He's really playing well. What is he like Sunday to Sunday when you get him in the building and if he has to sit down, go to meetings, film? Tell us a little bit about him behind the scenes.
Yeah, student in the game. I think he's slowly, and you can see it gradually, learning how to study, how to prepare, how to get his body right, his routine, taking care of himself. But what you see is when you're in the meeting rooms with him, and I sit at times behind him and kind of see him in front of me, it's a guy taking notes, dialed in, asking questions, responsive. Sometimes you sit in meetings and you just let the coach talk the whole time, right? You kind of just look up. But he's engaged, right? He's engaged. He wants, give me more. Same thing with a lot of tidbits out on the field. He's always asking questions. He's always working on the side when the offense is up. So somebody that's just, to be honest, that I just see constantly growing each and every week. And every week it seems like he makes a play, right? On third down especially. Like, he shows up. And that's been really good for us.
I talked to you about that week one, not because he's a young player. I just thought that they'd attack him more because of Jack on the other side. Right. A lot of teams have done that and found out early in the game there's no separation there.
No, I mean, we're talking about legit speed too now, right? He can do it. But I think more importantly, you don't see the panic that we saw last year as a rookie. When the ball's in the air, boom, he turns his head around, he's playing the football, right? And I think that's why you see all the PBU step up. But more importantly, I think it's just his effort, his attitude. Playing corner, they're going to catch the ball on you now, but right? You're going to give up a play. You got to have short-term memory, and that's a part of his growth process as well.
Lastly, the rivalry. When I think of this rivalry, I think of a guy in the building, a mentor to me, George Atkinson, what he was able to do to Lynn Swann. They intimidated, and Steelers won a lot of those games, but it was back and forth. The 70s, I look at the 72 Dolphins, the Chiefs, but it was the Raiders and the Steelers. Winner move forward, loser eliminated in the playoffs. I would think it would be pretty, not easy, but to get everyone's attention on how important this moment is for this organization and an opportunity to get to 3-3.
Yeah, that's how I opened up the team meeting today, right? 32 times we faced one another. And I showed a clip back from the 70s to the 80s, to the 90s, and then finished it off to our game last year. And it's a heated rivalry, right? It's two of the better organizations in football. And there's probably some dislike amongst the fans. I'm sure there is, right? Yeah. But what you know and what you should expect is a physical, violent, heavy-handed game. And the history of that is back in the day, especially in the 70s and 60s a little bit, was championships. It always meant something when you play one another, right? Like you said, you're moving forward, the other one's going home. So to show our guys that and just understand the history is huge for us to have them here at our hometown. We know we're going to get from their crowd, but we got to do our own deal.
So last one, it's a hard hat game. I mean, everybody's coming into this game understanding after Denver, everybody buckle up. This is going to be physical. Only way to get out of here with a win is you got to be violent and physical.
Yeah, I told them, go ahead and get with our training staff and medical staff and get some Advils and Tylenols now because you're going to need them. Ice packs need to be ready to go.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
To be a Raider is to be bold, powerful, and loyal.
What's a Raider? Always a Raider.
Raider Nation family is authentic, with the heart here in Las Vegas. We are often imitated, but can never be duplicated. Why?
The autumn wind is a Raider.
Because there is only one nation.
I'm on a loose, yeah. Watch me shine. Okay, hey. Can't stop my shine, can't stop my grind. Foot on the gas, too quick to catch. stop my shine, can't stop my grind. Foot on the gas, too quick to cash, yeah.
Week 6 winners, Las Vegas High School Showcase. Kansas Spring
Hats off to the Las Vegas Raiders. And they've been first class in what they do in the community and what they do with all schools, man, and just building up. And you see, I think these showcases just show them what type of organization they are, not only at the NFL level, but at the high school level and even the youth level. I just tell them thank you because it's amazing what they're doing, what they're bringing back to the city.
Back to Raiders Rundown. JT, Paul Gutierrez, kind enough to join us from ESPN, ESPN.com, and a lot of news going on. First, you got your Dodger shirt on. Yeah. I'm a Yankee fan. We're both on the brink of elimination. We got a big baseball night in front of us.
Yeah, I'll tell you, JT, it's more so about the guy that's on the shirt, Fernando.
Yes.
You know, it's still Hispanic Heritage Month, obviously. My favorite player growing up. I have a kind of a personal relationship with him, but also kind of thoughts going out to him because he's dealing with some health issues at this time as well. And a lot of fans are hoping for his complete recovery.
We're thinking of him and your friendship with him. Let's begin with the Devontae comments from Coach downstairs. What was that about?
That was different. That was a glimmer of hope, I think, for those fans that still want Devontae Adams to remain a Raider and to be on this roster and be an important cog going forward. That was really kind of the first glimmer of hope you've seen from this whole situation since it kind of came out of nowhere a week and a half ago. So the way Antonio described it was that he's had a good positive conversation with him, that he's still working on the hamstring, and as soon as the hamstring's ready to go, they'll play him. So that seemed kind of newsworthy in and of itself right then and there.
Yeah, and this is fresh reporting by you, and I'm wondering how you're going to look at this going forward with the market, considering what happened to Derek Carr's injury, and the Jets are 2-3. The Raiders are 2-3. Has a lot changed in the last 48 hours?
A lot changed on Sunday and Monday night, and Tuesday morning as well, I guess, because you had the two teams that were rumored and reported by my colleague Adam Schefter to be the most in on Devontae because of the relationship with the quarterbacks. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers, they fired their coach, so they've got a lot of in-house things they've got to figure out before trying to acquire Devontae Adams. The Saints, Monday night, Derek Carr, who everybody here remembers, and whatever their impressions are of him, Devontae likes him too, but he suffers the oblique injury that's going to keep him out possibly numerous weeks. So they've got to look and say, okay, well, does it make sense to bring him here if Derek Carr's not even the quarterback anyways? So there's a lot of things for these teams to kind of factor in, and with the trade deadline still a few weeks away, maybe some other teams look at this and say, you know what, if Devontae Adams is the kind of player that can get them over the top, then they make that decision. But as far as the Raiders are concerned, as the public face, what Antonio Pierce said, when he gets healthy, he'll be out there. We'll see, but that's the public stance.
Paul Gutierrez is our guest. Let's jump to the Raiders quarterback. No surprise you were expecting Aiden O'Connell to be announced today?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it was a tight training camp battle. We saw it firsthand in Costa Mesa. And when Gardner Minshew was announced the winner at that point, it was because of his purported ability to get teams off to a quick start because of the way he could scramble in the pocket, he could extend plays. And we saw that. And the interesting thing is that while it was just too much up and down, Gardner Minshew was completing a career high, more than 71% of his passes, some touchdown passes there as well. But it was the inconsistency. It was the interceptions. It was a career low at this point anyway, total QBR. And the backbreaker was that momentum-shifting 100-yard pick six in Denver. And plus, you factor in that Aiden's come in twice already to relieve him in games. And then, there's already that relationship. I mean, Antonio Pierce did refer to Aiden as his BFF last year. Mm-hmm. He put him in place when he became the interim coach, and he's more than comfortable with him. So we'll see. He was asked, and Antonio was asked, if this is a permanent switch or if perhaps Gardner could come back later. He said, look, I never plan on making a switch, but when we have to make a switch, we will. So that door's cracked open.
The way I look at it in sports, it's different with a quarterback. A quarterback, you have one chance to make that big impression. Yep. When you make a change. We've seen Aiden with some mop-up work, but everybody knew they were probably going to go back to Gardner. Now it could be permanent. And I think that's an important burst that the Raiders need in that locker room now. Like him or not, I'm sure there's some good Gardner Minshew fans of him in that locker room. But now is the moment here. And as we look at Aiden going forward, preparing for the Steelers, we know he's not as mobile, but he goes through progressions quickly. And with T.J. Watt looming, the ball's got to come out.
And that offensive line has to protect him because he's not as mobile, as you just mentioned. The interesting thing to me about this is, and I'm putting my tinfoil cap on here for you, JT, but I wonder if Devontae would prefer to play with a quarterback like Aiden O'Connell because of the previous relationship that he had with him. And maybe that's part of what the smiley, good feel kind of thing was with Antonio. Again, probably has nothing to do with anything, but it's interesting just to kind of put it together and look at it because Aiden O'Connell is the classic drop-back quarterback. As Antonio says all the time, that as soon as that foot hits, the ball comes out. He knows where it's got to go, this, that, and the other. Gardner Minshew is more the improviser out there. So there's already a built-in relationship. There's an understanding. Antonio himself said it. He knows exactly what he's going to get out of Aiden. You didn't necessarily know that with Gardner, and that's not a knock on Gardner. That's just his playing style.
A lot's at stake with the Steelers because they get off to a 3-0 start as Baltimore was 0-2, and Raiders beat them. You look at Cleveland; they're a mess overall, and I'm saying Pittsburgh can kind of run away and hide here. If they get to 5-1 or 7-2, they're right there. We know Tomlin always has a winning season. So what do you think about this team coming in? They're a wounded team. That was a physical game. It started super late. So that after the game, it was kind of into Monday. They got to travel to Vegas. So they got guys who are banged up too here. So Mike Tomlin from 30,000 feet looking at this game, what do you think he's thinking?
They're thinking they have the same kind of situation at the quarterback as well, whether Russell Wilson is going to be the guy or they're going to stick with who they have. So if it is Russell Wilson, at least the Raiders have some sort of a relationship there. They've played him before. But the other guy, the Raiders offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, knows him really well as well. So they've got a lot of things to figure out. From the Steeler perspective, Mike Tomlin, all he does is just win. That's all he does. You could throw whatever kind of situation at him you want. So it's going to be a tough physical affair. Is it the 1970s that you and I grew up watching between the Steelers and Raiders? Probably not. But they're going to bring a lot of fans. I've seen some forecasts where they are expected to bring 56% of the crowd, Steeler fans. So it's going to be a knockdown, drag it out kind of thing here where the Raiders always seem to respond. Now, granted, they're going to be down a man, if not five, because of injuries and things that are going on. So, again, this is going to be a battle of attrition and a battle of wills.
Wrapping it up with Paul Gutierrez. Finally, where is this organization at now? Because 3-3 doesn't mean the team's going to go win 11, 12 games. Right. But in the short term, it could stabilize a lot of the noise that's coming from ESPN, where you're at, Fox. Everybody's talking about the Raiders. It's only about Devontae. Yeah. They're not talking about the scheme or the lack of running game or the turnover differential. I think this is a pivotal moment because this is a vocal coach, a player's coach. His players got to step up for him now. This is the coach who went from interim to head coach. Everyone's smoking cigars, happy to have this guy, and they got him. Now it's time for these guys to run through a wall for him.
And I think you saw that. Well, I'm not even going to say. I know you saw that in that Cleveland game. When they were down, they didn't have Max Crosby. They didn't have Devontae Adams pre-trade drama. And those guys kind of came together. And again, they played a terrible Browns team, but the week before they played a terrible Panthers team, and you saw what happened there. So this is one of those moments where they really have to come together, lean on each other, each person not try to do too much on their own, just do their own job and figure it out going forward there. It's one of those, it's actually, like you said, it's not only playing for themselves, playing for the guy next to him, playing for the coach that they all wanted at one point anyway. So it's going to be definitely gut check time.
Last one for you here. We've touched on Devontae and the quarterback. I'm just wondering now, after this game in Kansas City, Cincinnati, all your years of doing this, have you ever seen a season through the first 5 or 6 weeks with so many hurt players and teams that are good, Paul, but they're just upside down chasing 500?
Well, and I also wonder this too, with the availability of social media and the extra focus on player safety. Are we just learning about this now? Has this always been the case, but we're only hearing about it now? We're only knowing about it now. So guys are going to take care of themselves because it's such a long season, and it's made even longer now. So guys are going to take care of themselves even more so earlier in a season. That's not to dispute that they're actually hurt, because they are. But as you know, there's a difference between being injured and being hurt. So that's the very fine line that everybody's trying to straddle right now.
I was at UNLV Syracuse thinking of you. I couldn't believe it. Talk about, you didn't get any hometown calls in that game. I'm sitting there, I go back to my dad all the time. He always says, you get those calls in your stadium. Not only did they have that game to stay in the top 25, but they lost it. Just what do you think of your Rebels?
I thought that the ACC refs did a number on the Rebels and on Cal as well. Shout out Vic Tafer. But the Rebels also defensively, they were gassed. They had no less than 3, perhaps even 4 chances to close that thing out in that last series anyway. 2 pick six, two interceptions potentially. They hit behind the line of scrimmage on 4th down.
That bothered me.
So they had opportunities to do things. But again, what does it say about UNLV football when people are actually complaining about time management, complaining about not winning a game when they're a top 25? It means they're finally where they should be, and probably where they haven't been, definitely haven't been since Randall Cunningham was quarterback, back when I was 14 years old.
There you go. Thanks for coming in studio. Appreciate you.
Always my pleasure.
You got it. That's Paul Gutierrez, everybody. Check out his work at ESPN, and you'll see it all up there. There's a lot of news as he's going into the locker room. We'll take a look at our lineup right now, which is fantastic. The morning tailgate. That's our morning show. Vinny Bonsignore is going to join us next here at the top of the hour. The Rich Eisen Show. I'm on every day, noon to 2. And then you have Q Myers, who's always in this building from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific time on Unnecessary Roughness. So as we take a look, and thanks again to Paul Gutierrez. What an hour that was. Antonio Pierce, Lincoln Kennedy, and Paul, as we're discussing everything that's happening here with the Silver and Black. So when you're on Raiders.com, you can see all this content here. I switch over to YouTube, my channel, JT the Brick, YT for YouTube. Please subscribe and share and keep coming back to what the Raiders are doing here on all their social media platforms. No team does it better. We have a tremendous staff behind the scenes. They're all working to give you the content that you want from in the locker room, all of our specialty shows, and especially what this organization does in the community, which is very important to Mark Davis and everyone involved here. Hour number 2 coming up next. Hey, Raider Nation, big one. Go get the Steelers, and let's get back to 500.